Hey guys, welcome to week two. This is the video I'm posting just to go over what's due this week. I got all your assignments. Generally give me until Wednesday to get the grades in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can talk about some stuff. Okay, so if you look at this, and I'll post my notes after every video, this is your to-do list for this week. It's the same thing that's on your modules. So you're going to read the essay question for sure. You're going to complete and submit a lesson plan on plagiarism. You're going to complete the quiz on They Say, I Say. Make sure you do the reading before you open the quiz because the quiz is timed. Once you open it, you can't kind of go out and come back to it. You have to finish it in one sitting. You want to do the summary of the Matthew effect, a brainstorming activity, and thesis development, and then always do your gradable discussion. So these are the dates when things are due. Again, it's also on your modules, but it's another thing for you to have. So I want to go over some of the things that I would go over if we were in the actual class. So the first thing I want to talk about is summary. So the summary is due on the 17th, which is Thursday. It's of the Matthew effect. So before you write the summary, make sure that you read the chapter and that you take notes. You annotate it, you take notes, you put it in your own words. And you want to have a clear idea of the text's main argument. So here's summary format. When I say format, I mean that this is what a summary should always include, and this is how a summary should always begin. So it has the author's full name, the title, the main argument, what the text is trying to get you to believe, and the most important supporting details. And that's like the examples that the text uses in order to get you to believe that, to get you to believe that main argument. So in general, paragraph or 101 class is about 6 to 12 sentences. This summary has to be 6 sentences at least. So I give you an example of how you can start. So in chapter 2 of Outliers, the Matthew effect, Malcolm Gladwell argues that. I just start you off and you finish the summary. I am perfectly fine if you use this sentence. That's fine. A summary is a workhorse. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's okay to use the model, not mod. So here's a model of how you begin the summary. So to help you write the summary, we want to take a closer look at the text. And so here are some questions to kind of get you started thinking about the text. So, and you can also use this to guide your annotation. So you can take notes, you can try to answer these questions before or after you read. You don't have to hand anything in to me though. Okay, so what do Americans believe about success? You know, do we believe it makes us happy? Do we believe it's about the individual? If you are not successful in America, whose fault is it? Generally, it tends to be, you know, our own fault if we're not successful. Answer these questions, or at least think about them, because they'll help you have a stronger connection to Gladwell's text. So I'm going to start you off as well on a close reading of the text. He starts with this Bible verse: "For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away, even that which he hath." Okay. So it's a Bible verse, and he's trying to say something about success. And what he's saying is that those who already are born into good circumstances will probably continue to have good circumstances. Those who are born into not so great circumstances, it will be a little bit harder for them to move out of those not so great circumstances. Another way to say it is that those who already have more will be given more. Those who have less will be given less. And in some instances, they'll even have things taken away from them. So he's saying something about the nature of success. And what he's saying is that success is not always about individual merit. It's about the circumstances that we're born into. And so some of the things that he talks about, it's not about individual achievement, but who our parents are, how much money we have, our race, our ethnicity, our culture, where we live, and even when we're born. So I give you a few examples. An example would be the SATs, right? You know, you have to take an SAT to get in college. So I have two students, they both do poorly on SATs. One is upper middle class and one's parents are working class. The kid who's upper middle class, his or her parents can afford to send them to an SAT prep course, probably more than once. And that course usually runs about $600. The kid who whose parents don't have those kinds of resources won't be able to take that course. It stands to reason, all things being equal, that the kid whose parents have more resources, more money, will do better on the SATs. Again, it has nothing to do with the kid's individual merit. It just has to do with the circumstances of the kid's life. Same thing with homework. If I have a professor, if I have a student has a parent who's a professor, chances are they're going to know how to navigate that system, and they're going to know how to be successful in school just because they have the circumstances of their life. Again, none of these examples are about individual merit or achievement, right? So once you kind of think about those things, you can move on to your brainstorming exercise. So brainstorming is the first thing you do when you get a paper assignment. You just want to figure out what you think about it. There's no wrong way to brainstorm. So here's a question: what matters more to our success, where we're from, or who we know, and who we know, or what we do and how hard we work? Do our efforts make no difference at all? And I just started my brainstorm. So I put family, poor, rich, middle class. I put class, socioeconomic class, school, college, Harvard versus Temple versus CCP, neighborhoods, and I would fill that out more, but there's no wrong way to do it, right? So you're just brainstorming some ideas around that question. The last thing I want to talk about is the thesis statement. So to wrap up the week, you have that thesis statement exercise. So here's the question: do our families and people outside of our families who choose to mentor or help us mean more or less in the work we put into developing our own success? All right. So for a thesis statement, you want to make sure you always do a couple of things. The first thing you want to do is answer the essay question. So you can take that question and you can turn it into a statement. I'll give you an example shortly. You want to make sure your thesis is debatable. You must come up with like a strong position that you can support. Make sure you can support your thesis statement with 3 points. So even if you don't list those points in your thesis, and you shouldn't probably for a more complex paper, you want to be aware of what those points are. And then in terms of the organization, the thesis should always end the introduction of your essay, and you kind of want to treat your thesis statement as a mini outline for the rest of your essay. So I give you some examples and some ways to start. So I just took that question and I turned it into a statement. Our families and communities have more of an impact on our success and our individual efforts because. So in this first thesis statement, I'm saying that, the circumstances of our lives matter more than our individual effort. And my paper is going to be about that. My second example here, our families, and again, I'm just taking that question and I'm turning it into a statement. Our families and communities do not have more of an impact on our success and our individual efforts because for this second example of a thesis statement, I'm on the side of the individual. I'm saying, okay, yeah, circumstances, whatever, but what I do with my life matters more. Right? And then in the third example, I'm kind of on both sides. Our families and communities and our individual efforts are equally important in achieving success because whatever your reasons are, right? And again, I'm on both sides. So in terms of this thesis statement exercise, you can for sure come up with your own thesis statements, but you can also use these as a model or as a jumping off point. I'm perfectly fine with that. And then the last thing you have to do for the week is to read the gradable discussion and go ahead and finish that. So it seems like a lot of work, but when we break it down, I think it's super manageable. So I will post my notes. I'm going to stop my share. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, you just want to hit me up via email. My office hours are the same every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3, and I can, see you in Zoom. And good luck, take care. Your papers, again, will be graded by no later than Wednesday. Okay.